Peace, family. This is Anpu with another video on question everything. Now, I think that this segment here is probably the biggest question of them all. This is the deepest subject to touch on. And for those, like I said before, for those people that are not into this type of information, then this is not for you. Change the channel because it's about to get real. Now it's time to start getting to the real deep discussions. I know I've done spoke about astral traveling. I know on Question Everything segment, I've been speaking about the Bible. I've been breaking it down. I've been deciphering it to wake people up so they can actually see what's really going on. And this subject, it's just been dawning on me. The more research I do, the more experiences that I have, it's just validating, what I can't even say believe, is what I know. This segment could be scary. So the question is, are we in hell? Are we in hell? Now let's go into, how did the whole subject of hell came to be? For most part, people get their information from religious books. The Quran, the Torah, the Bible, they all speak of a place of pain, torment, evil, just straight negative. And this is where we get the concept of hell. And religion uses hell as a control tool. Don't do this or you're going to go to hell. You do this, you're going to go to hell. So, we got to really think about this subject. Are we in hell? Are we? I'm pretty sure that whoever's watching this video have questioned that to themselves, or even have said it, or even agreed to the topic. Like, yes, we are in hell. But let's go deep into it. This is what Anpu does. So, and another thing is, for the viewers, I try to give as much information on books and topics. This channel is a spirituality channel. It's also on music. It's also about the hidden knowledge. It's about me. This is me. This is giving you the inside of me, or my thoughts and my creativity. So hate it or love it, but it is what it is. But when you watch my videos, for the viewers, I need you to do me a favor. Don't just listen to the things that I say or take what I'm saying and just run with it. I really want you to purchase the books that I speak about and read them. I want you to really research the topics that I'm touching on. The different topics and different things that I done touched on, I really want you to do your own research. I really want you to do your own homework. So don't just sit here and just watch my videos and just be like, wow, this dude is speaking some real truth, or this dude is deep, or this dude is that, or he's an idiot, or he don't know what he's talking about. Do the research. That's the most important thing. Because this is how I got my information, by doing my own research and also having my own experiences. Everybody is their own entity. You have the power. That is basically the first fall of man, is to believe. Don't believe anything what I'm saying. Just go check it out for yourself. And I might be wrong on certain things. I might, to you, but check it out. Because once you start researching, it's just going to open up more information, and it's just going to better yourself. And then when you get this type of information, share the information to people that are worthy of the information. That is the main key. Just don't be saying this type of things to anybody. And I spoke about these in my past videos. I was one of those type of people that would come across certain type of information and then just try to tell my family members or tell my friends and tell my co-workers, and it just backfires because certain people ain't ready for this type of information. So share the information to the people that are worthy to this information. Tell them to watch my videos if that's the case. If you can't break the information down, the way I'm doing or others are doing. So let's get back to this deep subject, this deep question. Are we in hell? Are we? So we're going to go into back to the religion, because when you go into the religion, this is what for nowadays that we speak about hell and the whole concept of hell and burning in fire for eternity. And so it's real. So we got to really break this down. So there's a lot of lost books in the Bible, right? You have to understand that the Bible is a series of books. There was a lot of series in these books were taken out. The book of Enoch was taken out of the Bible. You won't find that in your King James Version. You have to actually research the actual book and get the information to get the scriptures and the verses. And in the book of Enoch, he's basically speaking of ETs, extraterrestrials, the fallen angels. That whole story is basically talking about extraterrestrials. But this particular book I'm going to speak on is the lost book of John. And for those that are in the metaphysics and is very conscious, you probably know about this book already. But this is videos for those that don't do the research and that have never read it. I'm not going to go into the word for word reading it on this video, because I know I'm going to have to make a part 2, a part 3, maybe a part 4, because this subject is so deep. Because this subject has to touch everyone that's on this third dimension. Everyone. But we're going to go into the book of John. Now I'm just going to summarize the book of John. I don't have it with me. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to go off of memory. So I might be a little off on some, but like I said, Google it, buy it, do what you got to do, but look it up, research it. Now this is a book that was taken out of the Bible, out of the Christian Bible, and you can find a lot of information on it. And like I said, when I was doing my research and came across it, man, it was just a hard pill to swallow. And like I said, when I do my research, I research so many different areas, different cultures, different religions, different times. And like I said, all these stories have similarity to it, and you just have to piece them all together like a puzzle, because that's what it really is at the end of the day. It's a jigsaw puzzle. And you should take this topic and this information very serious, because this is about you. This is determining what's going to happen to you, right? In the book of the lost book of John. Now John speaks of a story about the creation, the very beginning of creation, that the Bible don't really speak about. What they did. And in this story of the lost book of John, he speaks about this place that's in a different, let's say, like a different dimension, right? Before the creation started here, this takes place in a different magical dimension with all these different entities that are like gods, that are more than one. You have the feminine energy and the masculine energy. And the story basically speaks about one particular entity, goddess, and her name is Sophia. The Greeks speak, this is her Greek name, and I'm pretty sure she has different names in other languages and cultures and religions, but within the Greeks, because you got to understand there's a lot of Greek in the Bible, and her name was Sophia. And Sophia, she had branched out of this realm on her own. Sophia was like the rebel, well, not really the rebel. She was just very curious, very powerful entity. She was very curious, and she branched out of this magical, powerful realm, which was the beginning, pretty much. And as she branched out, she began to create. She had a creation that was within her. So basically, she was pregnant. She pregnated herself with her own thoughts unconsciously. So here she journeying through space, whatever you want to call it, the ethers, and she created an entity within her. And because she didn't create it with her other half, which is the masculine energy, because when they were doing creations, it was both masculine and feminine. But because she branched away from that realm that she was in, she was on her own. On her own, to the point that the other entities didn't know where she was at. She was hidden in a different realm. And during this realm, she had a creation. And because without the masculine energy, this creation was pretty much deformed. It wasn't complete. And this entity that was growing in her kept growing stronger and stronger and stronger. Now remember, this entity is taking energy from her. And now this entity has consciousness. And while in the womb, he wants to be the true ruler, the top ruler, no ruler above him. He wants to be the all, because he was ignorant. Because she made this creation through ignorance. She didn't know. It was a mistake that she made. But this is the mistake that she had to pay. And the story goes is that the entity that was in her, he wasn't even fully developed. And he burst out of her womb. And from that point on, she knew that this entity that she had created was deformed. It was a bad thing. And because she knew this, she didn't want the other entities to know, so she created a realm to hide him from the other gods. And so this entity that she had created, his name is Adolabra. And the description that they gave is that he looks like he has a dragon-like body with a lion's head and like fire in his eyes. So she created him in this realm to hide him from the other gods, because she was shameful for what she had created. And now this entity, Adolabra, she gave him his own realm to rule. But he was hidden. So Adolabra was ignorant because he actually thought that he was the only God, that he was he was the Alpha Omega. He didn't have no knowledge of the other gods that was here way before him. He didn't even have pretty much knowledge of his own mother, who is Sophia. So, long story short, Adalabrov had created his own creations. Created in his realm, he created the suns, he created planets, he even created other entities to follow his orders. And then one time he had heard something. He heard something, but he didn't know where it was coming from. When he realized that he wasn't alone, that he wasn't the first, that he wasn't the Alpha and Omega, then he began to hear the voice of his mother. And then he started to go deep into it and then realize that there were other gods as well. That made him furious. Then he found out that the other gods in the other realm had created an entity. And that's exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to create a being and have this being only worship him. So Sophia she was hurt. She was very sad. She was hurt because she did this creation and she needed help. She needed help. She was embarrassed to tell the other gods what she has done because they thought maybe they was gonna, exile her out these higher realms. So she went to them and she explained to these, other gods what she's done. And of course, they didn't turn her back. They didn't turn their back on her. They helped her. They gave her an idea on how, because when she gave birth to him, he took some of her energy with her power. So she knew that he couldn't really rule, without her power. So they came up with a plan. So they actually tricked Adalabrov. They tricked him. So Adalabrov, he wanted to create a man. So he created a man, he shaped them, they molded them, just like how the stories speak about in the Bibles and other religion texts or ancient texts. And the body didn't move. So he was confused. He's like, I made this creation, it's not alive, it doesn't move. If it can't move, then how can I rule it? How can I make it worship me? Because he wants to be worshipped so bad. He wants to be the top dog. He wants to be the top, the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. He doesn't want nothing else to worship but just him because he's a jealous God. Doesn't that sound familiar? What's in the Bible? Don't worship no other gods but me because I am a jealous God. But his mother told Adalabrov to blow breath into his nostrils and he will come alive. So Adalabrov was ignorant. He was very ignorant. So he didn't know what he was doing, but he listened to his mother. And he blew breath into man and he became a living soul. That is also in the Bible of Genesis. And he became a living soul and he began to move around. But what happened was when he blew his breath into man, he gave his power up. So this is how they tricked him. The power that he had from his mother had went into man, had went into us. So the story says. And he realized that and got very angry. Now this is in a different realm. This is a different dimension. And like I spoke about before, there's many different dimensions, many different layers of consciousness. So at this time, he wasn't in a physical body. Man wasn't in the physical body. He created it to have maybe it was like an astral body, like a shell, and then the energy within. And then once he saw this, he dropped man to a lower level. So then man would be confused and man won't remember. And that lower realm is the third dimension, what we in right now. And he's also you got the words archons, demiurge. All these words you need to be writing down and researching them. The demiurge, the archons, Adalabroth, the Lost Book of John. So he began to tempt man. I'm not gonna say just mankind or human, whatever you want to call it, this physical being. And he began to test. He began to give it desire of the eye, make things look beautiful, the scenery, and then have man eating physical food in order to live. Because in the beginning, man didn't have to eat. But the more he kept eating physical things, it lowered his vibration lower and lower and lower. But that energy is within us, which is from the goddess Sophia. And this is why I said in my other question, everything, she is God. This is where the whole concept comes from. Because at the end of the day, from where we come from, when you hear the story, it's coming from an actual feminine energy. The goddess Sophia. She is God. She created the God that you people worship in these religious books. That's deep. But she was able to speak to man telepathically, but Adalabroth didn't know. So she's teaching. That's that serpent energy. This is when you go into Genesis and the serpent whispered to her and said, "Here, eat from this fruit. You ain't going to surely die, but your eyes will be open and you become God." But the God in the Bible said, "Don't eat that fruit because you're going to die." But the serpent said, "Nah, you ain't going to surely die. Your eyes are going to be open and you become like the gods." She ate the fruit, and that's exactly what happened. And of course, the God in the Bible got mad about that. You see, all these stories start piecing together. And that's why when you look at my videos and question everything about the Bible, I kept saying, what are we dealing with when you're dealing with this type of scholarship, scriptures, religion, program? What kind of program we dealing with? Who is the master programmer? Because now we got to go into DNA, right? We all have DNA. They say there's like 12 strands of DNA, but we only use 3. The others are dormant. I could be wrong. Like I said, everything is going off the top. I could be wrong. Do the research, find out. But I know that we have DNA strands that are dormant. And that's why DNA are codes. It's a code. It's a program. Someone programmed the DNA for us to be a certain way, or see the things that we see and experience the things we see, or believe in the things we believe. It's all a program. And it also ties into, like, how I always like to reference movies. It all ties into that movie, The Matrix. The Matrix. That movie was telling us the truth. Or was it? Or maybe it was just a Hollywood movie just for entertainment. And the person that wrote The Matrix is an African American woman. She was ahead of her time. She's like a psychic, a medium. She can see things. She's good with numbers. She sees things in codes. And she wrote the story. Hollywood stole it from her, went to court, and sued them for billions. This is actual stuff that you could research. Research these things. Because I did. And it opened my mind to a lot of things. So it goes back to what we're saying. Are we in hell? Now, you remember in The Matrix, We hooked up to this machine. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how the story kicks it in with Sophia. When she went to this, when she stepped out of her realm that she was from, she began to fall. And when she began to fall, the creation became more like robotic than just masculine. Like it became like robotic like. So I guess this is what the movie was trying to pitch. And remember Morpheus was like, and he held up the battery. He said, this is what it's all about. It's about the energy. To suck your energy. You know? And also, let's go into the story of Satan, the 200 fallen angels. And when you go into that, you can see that Satan, or Blias, another name, the devil, whatever you want to call it, Shaitan, you know, or going into the jinns, the story of the jinn that's written in the Quran, when they spoke about the creation of man, remember? And then he said, you know, bow down to man. Satan refused. The jinns refused. You know, these entities refused. Because what that whole story was basically trying to was kicking is that they knew that the whole creation of man was just vessels of physical bodies. And the God want them to take on to these physical bodies. This is why Blias was like, I'm made of smokeless fire. That's made of clay. Because God was trying to trick them to get into these physical bodies. Because they disobeyed, what happened? They fell. They fell from the higher realms that they were in with God, and they went down to the lower realms. This is the story of the 200 fallen angels. And when they fell, guess what? These angels became physical beings. And then they began ruling on this planet. All the stories pieced together. But the question is, are we in hell? And we gotta look up the descriptions of hell that's within these religious texts or ancient texts. And when you go into the religious text, they say molten fire, molten rock. Well, in the center of this planet is molten rock. You know, the air filled with smoke. If you look at our atmosphere, it's filled with smoke, pollution, global warming, ice caps are melting. A place that is burning fire. We are burning. Literally, we are burning. The sun is getting hotter. I spoke about foods. The foods we eat burn. They burn. Calories is burning. The foods we eat is acidic. It's acidic. It's hot. It's burning. Creates cancers. Cancers eats the body. Viruses and pathogens and all types of entities that we can't see with the naked eye. You know, parasites. We're burning. You know, soon as you come into this realm, you're dying. You live to die. That's why I always said we should cry at birth and celebrate and be happy at death. But are we in hell? I'll be back. This is Anpu with another question, another segment on Question Everything. Peace.